Salvete discipuli discipulaeque linguae Latinae to this second Psalm parsing explanation video. This will be from the Latin Vulgate and the Douay Rheims version of the Bible. Starting with verse 1. Quare fremuerunt gentes et populi meditati sunt in ania. Why have the Gentiles raged, and the people devised vain things? Astiterunt reges terrae, et principes convenerunt in unum adversus dominum, et adversus Christum eius. The kings of the earth stood up, and the princes met together, against the Lord and against his Christ. Dirumpamus vincula eorum, et proiciamus a nobis jugum ipsorum. Let us break their bonds asunder, and let us cast away their yoke from us. Qui habitat in celis iridebit, eos, et Dominus subsanabit eos. He that dwelleth in heaven shall laugh at them, and the Lord shall deride them. Tunc loquetur ad eos in ira sua, et in furore suo conturbabit eos. Then shall he speak to them in his anger, and trouble them in his rage. Ego autem constitutus sum, rex ab eos super Sion, montem sanctam eos, praedicans praeceptum eos. But I am appointed king by him over Sion, his holy mountain, preaching his commandment. Dominus dixit ad me, filius meus est tu, ego hodie genuite. Lord hath said to me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Postula a me, et dabo tibi gentes haeditatem tuam, et possessionem tuam terminos terrae. Ask of me, and I will give thee the Gentiles for thy inheritance, and the utmost parts of the earth for thy possession. Reges eos in virga ferea, et tamquam vas figuli confringes eos. Thou shalt rule them with a rod of iron, and shalt break them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Et nunc, reges, intelligite, erudimini qui judicatis terram. And now, O ye kings, understand, receive instruction, you that judge the earth. Servite Domino in timore, et exultate ei cum tremore. Serve ye the Lord with fear, and rejoice unto him with trembling. Apprehendite disciplinam, nequando irascatur Dominus, et pereatis de via justa. Embrace discipline, lest at any time the Lord be angry, and you perish from the just way. Cum exarceret in brevi irae eius, beati omnes qui confidunt in eo. When his wrath shall be kindled in a short time, blessed are all they that trust in him. And apologies in advance, I'm coming off a little bit of a 48-hour head cold. Now, moving on. Quare fremuerunt gentes, et populi meditati sunt in ania. So why have the Gentiles raged, and the people devised vain things? Quare is an invariable adverb for why or for what reason. Fremuerunt, fremo, fremere, fremui, fremitum, third conjugation, perfect active indicative plural, have raged, referring to the Gentiles. So quare fremuerunt, why have raged the Gentiles. Gens gentis, gens gentis, depending on your pronunciation. Third declension, nominative plural, feminine. The Gentiles, or the nations, or the races, etc., etc. Et populi, et of course meaning and, I'm just going to lump those in there. Et populi, populus populi is a second declension, nominative plural masculine, the people, so and the people. Sunt, sum esse fui, third person, plural present indicative, are. Meditati, meditor, meditari, meditatus sum, perfect passive participle, nominative plural masculine, have devised, have pondered, or meditated. So, why have the Gentiles raged, and the people devised, meditated upon, etc., vain things? Inania is vain things. So, inanis inane, neuter plural, nominative accusative. Quare fremuerunt gentes, why have the Gentiles raged? Et populi, and the people, meditati sunt inania, devised vain things. Verse 2, astiterunt reges terrae, et principes convenerunt in unum adversus dominum, et adversus Christum eius. The kings of the earth stood up, and the princes met together against the Lord and against his Christ. Christ meaning anointed, so against his anointed. Astiterunt, asto astare astiti. First conjugation, perfect active indicative, plural, they stood up, arose. Reges, rex regis. Third declension, nominative plural masculine, the kings, rulers. Terrae, terra, terrae. First declension, genitive singular, feminine, of the earth. Et principes, princeps, principis. Third declension, nominative plural masculine, the princes, and the princes with the et. Convenerunt, convenio convenire, conveni conventum. And by the way, if you're just popping in, if this is the first lesson you've ever seen, those, when I do convenio convenire, conveni conventum, those are what are called principal parts. So when you look up this word in the dictionary, that is what you're going to see. So a dictionary definition is going to have principal parts, which are, it's sort of, when you know the grammar and everything, and you can kind of see the whole grammatical matrix. These are the smallest units necessary to be able to unpack the entire inflection system of that specific word. So it kind of, principal parts make more and more sense the more grammar you learn. If it seems like kind of a lot in the beginning, it is, but as you go on, you kind of realize, okay, this is very necessary. So bear with me on that. That's just one of those quirks of learning Latin that one just has to get used to. So principal parts, and then we parse the inflected form that appears in the particular given passage, in this case, convenerunt. So moving on, as an aside. Third declension, perfect active indicative plural, met together, gathered. You can see that we have in modern English, we have to convene. So that is actually a cognate in modern English. In unum, unus una, unum, neuter singular accusative, one. Adversus, this is an invariable preposition, against or opposed to. This is where we get adversary or averse. Dominum, dominus domini, second declension, accusative singular masculine, the Lord. Et adversus, we have adversus again, once again, so and against. Christum, Christus Christi, second declension, accusative singular masculine, Christ or anointed. And eius is a possessive pronoun in the genitive singular, his or of him, so his anointed, his Christ, and against his Christ. Et adversus Christum eius. Verse 3, Dirumpamus vincula eorum, et proieciamus a nobis jugum ipsorum. Let us break their bonds asunder, and let us cast away their yoke from us. Dirumpamus, dirumpo, dirumpere, dirupi, diruptum. That's a goofy sounding one. Third conjugation, present active subjunctive, plural, let us break. Vincula, vinculum, vinculi, second declension, accusative plural neuter, bonds or chains. Eorum, a genitive plural, possessive pronoun. So this time in the plural, we had eius before. Eorum, their or of them. So their bonds. Let us break their bonds. Et proieciamus, proicio, proicere, proieci, proiectum. Third conjugation, present active subjunctive plural, and let us cast away or throw off. You'll notice in the passage, in the excerpt, it's spelled with a J, and in the principal parts there, you'll see there's no J, it's just the letter I. That's because in the Vulgate, you'll very often have J, where in other Latin, you're not going to have. That's just going to be the letter I. So there's a little bit of disconnect there. So I'm using the Vulgate passage here from Scripture, but a more proper dictionary form of the verb that you're going to encounter outside Scripture in the larger Latin lexicon sort of thing. So just so you know. Anobis, prepositional phrase, taking the ablative, plural, from us, away from ourselves. Jugum, once again we have the J versus the I.